I'm Ramon Ray on Break Free B2B, and you can find our next episode. We're talking about being a celebrity CEO, going niche, going narrow, not being afraid, taking risk, and thinking bigger. Watch it. Break Free B2B.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Break Free B2B, where we are helping B2B marketers break free of the barriers, boundaries, and backward thinking that might be holding them back from greatness. My name is Nick Nelson. I'm a content marketing manager here at TopRank Marketing. Very excited to be joined today by the energetic, effervescent Ramon Ray. He is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, founder of Smart Hustle Media. He is a small business evangelist, a technology maven. I think he's going to have a lot of great things to say, a lot of relevant insight for our current time here, and some things that are going to be useful for our audience, whether you're a scrappy startup or a enterprise CEO. So, thank you, Ramon, for joining us. How are you doing today, sir?
You know, I feel fantastically well. It's a beautiful day where I am. Hope it's beautiful where you are. So I'm glad to be here. And I think what excites me is it's always good to serve and to help those who I can help and share some insights with, especially your amazing B2B audience. So thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate that, and I'm sure they do too. Let's get started here by just talking a little bit about your background and what you do and sort of what path has brought you to where you're at today.
Sure, yeah. Overall, Smart Hustle Media at smarthustle.com, we inspire and educate small business owners to start and grow successful businesses. We do that through the content that we produce on smarthustle.com, the events that we produce, and we work with amazing brands to help give them credibility and authenticity to what they do. So we produce events. We have a lot of content. We're educators. Over the past several years, I've written a few books. My latest is Celebrity CEO. And and that's a bit about me. I like to have fun. Live in the East Coast of the USA, and excited to be here with you.
Great. So I want to talk a little bit about sort of just the small business space right now. I think obviously 2020 has presented a lot of challenges for businesses of all types, been very disruptive, and I think especially in the small business space. What are you seeing right now in terms of where things stand when you talk to your clients and your colleagues out there in the small business sector?
Yeah, I think we're still in a world of the haves and have-nots and a chasm from where I sit. And I'm always trying to be as empathetic as I can. And here's what I mean. There's thousands and thousands of people, individuals who have lost their jobs. So my heart always goes out to them, and I can never forget, kind of like 9/11, those that have been 4 months, 5 months without work. That's a horror. Then you have those business owners that have had to close. So forget the ones that are individuals that are working for someone, but you have my peers who've had to close their flower shop, close their barber shop. They didn't have the numbers right to withstand and withstand, I guess, or to last 4 months, 5 months with no or limited revenue. I mean, telling a restaurant 25% of sales is tough. Then I think there are those, and I'm blessed to say that includes Smart Hustle, who have been able to be resilient and have been able to be, I guess, in the right industry at the right time and still serve our customers and clients. So I think that's where I see things are the future. I hope it's bright, but it's kind of like a storm on a ship. Some have lost their lives, 10, 20, 30 out of the 100 people. Now the 70 of us that are here, we got to move on and build new lives. That's kind of how I see it, not forgetting the others, but you build on, move on. And I hope that all those listening, the biggest takeaway I found, man, is just that I know we keep saying the new normal, but that's what I hope everybody realizes. This is a brand new game. I'm sure we'll meet in person someday, but it's brand new, never going back the way. And that's what marketing's different. Advertising's different. And I think if we learn that, we'll be okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have my brother and sister-in-law own a couple restaurants here in Minneapolis, and they're struggling. It's really hard right now, but at the same time, to your point, they're getting by. They're finding ways to make it work. They're showing that resilience. So it is great to see. Are you seeing some examples of small businesses that are pivoting and adapting in interesting ways?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, again, I think it's part of the, unfortunately, survival of the fittest. And there's a lot of the fittest. It's not like a lion and a cheetah, but there's a lot of the fittest out there. So, yeah, I think there's many small businesses that are still growing, that are getting revenue. Some I know are increasing. A friend of mine here in New York, he's a IT consulting company. His business is growing, taking off, meaning he's had to shrink some, so not pie in the sky. But, yeah, it's all not gloom and doom. But I think I just always like to say that to acknowledge the many who are. But, no, there's a number of small businesses that have shifted quite successfully or have been able to hold on and say, listen, we were making $5 million a year last year. Now we're down to $3.5 million. We may have had to put some people on reduced payroll, but we're able to go on. So I think that's a beautiful thing as well.
As we kind of zoom out a little bit, from the very specific current circumstances, are there sort of some prevalent challenges that have maybe been building up for a while and are sort of rising to the forefront and becoming more urgent? And what do you see those being?
Sure. I mean, I think, listen, challenges are always the noise and attention. I think as marketers, that's always how do you get attention? How do you, everybody's, clawing at you. Hey, over here, Hulu, TikTok, HBO, cable, TV, So I think that's the big challenge. And then you have, of course, we're in a political environment here with President Trump and President and Vice President Biden. There's the two, not being political at all, but that's the reality, right? There's the two broad camps, Democrat, Republican. There's that, and then you have the awareness of diversity and racial sensitivity and et cetera. That issue. Then you have combined with there's demonstrations, but then you have the riots. So. All this, I think, I've seen that B2B marketers have to thread a careful needle. Why did you have a red hat in your commercial? Oh, why did you say, the wrong version of whatever in your ad? So I think that's what marketers are really being sensitive to. Where do they thread their needle and where do they go? And I think it's going to be, I think it's those who are able to navigate that correctly, either to take a stand in some way. We say we're for, red and white chapstick. That's us. Or those who are going to say, we're going to try our best. We just want to sell great canoes. That's it. You have to figure out how you're going to do that.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary time. I mean, there's so many things going on externally that just can't be ignored. Yeah. Just an unbelievable amount of noise, as you mentioned. It does help to have a little bell you can ding, I guess, to get the attention. Yeah. Should try that. I think it's really easy to push the wrong button or misstep here. Do you think that there is that marketers and business owners should be super cautious, or do you think that there's a little bit more understanding and leniency towards understanding that we're sort of in this unprecedented situation, and as long as your heart's in the right place and you're trying to do good things, you can be a little more bold and not have to be overly sort of caught up in trying to account for everything that's going on?
Right. So listen, Zachary, right?
Nick.
See, you forgave me, right?
I do.
No problem. B2B brands can't make that mistake. That's an example, in my humble opinion. I can call you Zachary. Ramon, no, stop, Ramon. It's Nick, just so you know. No problem. You can call me, so this is, hopefully people understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
but I do think for a big brand, your McDonald's, AT&T, whatever big company you are, and I know you all work with these big brands to some degree. My B2B marketers, my point is, Nick, I don't think there's room for error, man. I don't think there is. It's sad. You put that wrong tweet, your executive middle of the night, hey, congratulates to X, or whatever. You may have a firestorm on your hand in 12 hours or less. So I think, unfortunately, you got to be cautious. Now, where you don't have to be cautious, as I said before, you're taking a stand. We're taking a stand. Everybody has to use gray concrete. That's what we're about, gray concrete. Go for it. If you don't like gray concrete, screw you. There's room for that. But if you're trying to say, well, we like gray concrete, but we like yellow concrete too. In fact, if you want plywood, now you've just messed things up. So I think that everybody has to be caught. I don't think that you have to be fearful. And I think at the end of the day, if you're serving your customers authentically, great. But if you're trying to play the game of politics, you're trying to play the game of being cute to whatever, you need to be careful.
Yeah, that's great perspective. Stay true to yourself, and be bold on that front, but don't get gimmicky. That's not the time for that. When you talk about maybe some of the successes and the way some of these challenges in the small business sector are being overcome, what do you see as maybe some key developments there and some things that even larger businesses might be able to learn from that?
Yeah, I think speed. I think that's the biggest thing. I had my Survive and Thrive Summit. I've had two of them, April and August. And I talked to the CEO of School of Rock and many others. But that's just one that comes to mind, telling me how they were able to pivot on a dime. People are used to coming into a retail store. Oh, we still have teachers. We still have students. They still want training to be rock stars, as it were. Let's set up iPads and make it virtual. It sounds duh. But for a bigger company, that takes time and thought. So my point being is that I think that's the biggest lesson learned I can give to these larger brands, is that we small businesses, in a dime. This thing falls behind me. Me and Nick will laugh about it and say, see, falling stock prices as an example, and we'll keep moving. You can't let that hold you hostage is what I'm trying to say. So I think, yes, I think the biggest thing small businesses can do is be nimble. I think we're creative, right? When this third week of March 13th, I remember it very well. Me and probably thousands of others, could be you. We're headed to South by Southwest. Maybe not you, but I'm sure somebody you know is headed there, and thousands of people. Nick, when that dried up, I was like everybody else. How am I going to make revenue? What am I going to do with my team? I had to be creative, and hence some things that we did came to fruition. So I think those are some lessons I think that big brands can learn. Be creative. Don't be afraid too much. Take a bit of a relative risk and being able to go forward.
Yeah, so you, as part of at least one of your organizations, you've done a lot of events, right? A lot of in-person meetings and stuff like that. Have you transitioned to virtual, or have you found other tactics to sort of replace that?
Yeah, fully virtual, fully transitioned, and I'm blessed that I think two sides. So one, I must say, I miss giving Nick a hug, shaking his hand,
Me too,
whatever
man.
we
Me
do.
too.
That kind of thing. I think people are going to be nervous for the foreseeable future. Fist bumps or nothing is in. So I do miss, as a speaker, I speak around the world, ladies and gentlemen, right? You'd be introing me on a stage right now with some cheap water bottles on a stage in some big convention hall right now. But it's not the case. So I think, yes, we've transitioned fully to digital, and I think it can work. I think it's possible. I think that, it's that engagement's different. You have to learn to look at the camera, not at Nick, who's right 2 inches down that way to make it work. But we're adapting. So I think that, yes, but to answer that, I've had to transition, had to shift a lot of online, had to educate my partners who I work with of what we're doing and how to do that. And so far, we're making it work.
Love it. Love it. One thing that I think is that I talk about a lot as far as maybe a misstep or a mistake from a lot of larger businesses that are scaling up, or enterprises, is they sort of lose touch with that small business vibe, right? I mean, the scrappy startup, hustling, personalized one-to-one service, and to an extent, these sacrifices are necessary, right? I mean, you have to automate certain things. But do you think that there are opportunities, like specific chances where they can sort of reconnect with that and get back to what made them great in the first place, and not sort of let the machine take over?
I think so, but I think it's tough. It's a balance. I work at many big brands, and it's all about the dotting the line, crossing the T, every legal thing in the world. So it's tough. The larger business you are, the more arrows you can have pointed at your back. That's the reality. So what to do? So I think that's the big challenge that we're going to face, is that. But I think going back to being nimble, being svelte, being lithe, as it were, and quick and moving, I think it's something that can be done. And I'll use a case of Verizon as an example, doing some webinars and things with them, that big companies may start off slow, but I think when they get the machine going, then it gets chugging along. But then are they willing to move again and pivot again? So, the larger you are, it's tough and hard. But kudos to many of the brands I'm sure you're seeing. They have the webinars. They're working with many of the sharks on Shark Tank. Many are working with me. I'm blessed that many are hiring me to host events, MC events, produce events with them. So I think that it's been a very exciting time. And you got to have patience. I have to learn, Nick. I'm a small business. I can pick up the phone and say, do this, do that. My colleagues at the bigger business, they can't. They got rules to follow.
Absolutely. You published an article on LinkedIn a few months back that I wanted to talk about, because I thought it was very interesting and insightful, and it was talking about how small businesses can maybe should rethink the idea that they can only work with small clients and start bigger. And start to think, well, why can't we work with larger clients? Why are we pigeonholing ourselves? And I think that's very pertinent to the sort of concept of this show, right? We're talking about breaking free of these limitations, maybe sometimes self-imposed. I don't want to put it in your words, so maybe you want to talk a little bit about that article and what you were driving at, and sort of what you think the key takeaways are. Yeah,
key takeaway is this. Let's take it, especially in regards to smaller businesses and larger businesses. Larger brands have problems. They need credibility. They want to grow. They want to work fast. They want to scale. And they're open to new ideas. We're opening some to giving people the chance. That's on this side. So I think on the small business side, you don't always have to think, going back to my little water bottle example, all we do is put out 10 water bottles just like this. What if a client, and it doesn't sink your business, wants 1 million of them? Think of the possibility, as Xander says, Zander, I think is a famous TED Talk pianist. Think of the glass half full. So my point was about the aspect of think bigger, think different is, If you're only walking like this all day long, you're only going to be going like this. But as you break free, you'll be able to take some small risks, small steps, and partner with other people. Hey, listen, we need this. We have the design. We do this well. You do this well. Can we work together and make this happen? That's kind of what I'm talking about, where it's let me stretch myself and do things I never did before. Nick, I've never done a 5-hour event, but the Survive and Thrive Summit, 5-hour event, leveraging different partners, different teams. We pulled it off. People, why are you doing 5 hours? Because nobody else is. Why not me?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, not even just with your audience or your target market, but I think it's great to be adaptive and open-minded with your product, the applications of your product. I mean, it all might be changing right now with everything that's going on in the world. And that's one great thing about the spirit of small businesses is that they're nimble and they're agile, and they can make these sort of pivots and change course on a dime. And I think that's a great thing for larger businesses to and focus on and embrace. And obviously it's much more challenging when you're sort of all the unwieldy nature of a large organizational structure, but there are ways to do it, right?
Absolutely. And I think it just goes with some thought, some mindset. And I think I have a link to that, Nick. If people, if you go to ramonemail.com, you can sign up for my list and all that. And I think I send that in one of the links. I think I do. If I don't, just email me or ask Nick how to contact me, but it's a good article. But I think so. It takes some thought, some gumption, some risk taking, not taking yourself too seriously, not being afraid of failure. I think that's part of it too. And I understand larger the companies are, you have bigger risk, you have bigger, arrows, as it were, or bigger. Your back is a bigger target, but you have to decide: do you want to be safe, or do you want to take some risk and break free?
So your specialization is sort of at the intersection of small business and technology, and really tracking a lot of these solutions and new innovations that are coming into play. What do you see as kind of the emerging tech or solutions that are coming along that are really going to play a big role here in the near future in that space and maybe beyond?
Yeah, I think especially in the online event world, I think not everybody, but there's a certain subset of people looking, how do we take this to the edge, and how can we gamify this experience as much as we can to increase the engagement as much as we can in this event we're doing. So I think that's one. I think two, definitely the world of large audience mitigation, especially with COVID and disease and things like this. Big companies are scared. Salesforce, Dreamforce, right, has 200,000, something like that, insane number of people. If they have it again, they're going to have rules in place. So what startups are there to make that work as fast, efficiently, and safe as possible? If travel, hopefully one day it ever goes up again, forget terrorism. That's one aspect. But now it's just health security. So I think those are some things we're thinking as we move forward into a very globally connected economy.
Awesome. So one thing we like to focus on in the show, beyond what's happening in the industry and the business world is really zeroing in on the world of influencer marketing and influencers. And I think, your book, Celebrity CEO, kind of talks about the value of building a personal brand and putting yourself forward and not just being a faceless company. What is sort of at the heart of that book, and why do you think that's so important?
Yeah, I think I'll address the two audiences. I think for smaller businesses, we're tiny, tiny, tiny. Nobody knows us, as it were. It's our face, our brand, our name. That's what matters. We're not Dell or HP or PayPal. That's the reverse issue they have. So I think that for smaller businesses, I'm a firm believer in everybody should and can be a celebrity CEO. And I'll just define that. That means you're well known in your local geography, you're a podiatrist located in your small town, or you specialize in something very niche, very niche, as Seth Godin often says, the smallest viable market. For the larger brands, why are they doing influencer marketing? Why are they hiring me and so many others? Why? Because they want a face. AT&T can't shake hands, can't smile. Neither can Verizon, neither can Dell and Samsung and all the brands we know, like, and trust. They need a face. They need warmth, right? Absolutely. So that's why I think the influencer marketing comes out. And TV, of course, big brand TV ads do this a lot, right? Who's the guy? Geico has the Gecko. Allstate has, I forgot the actor's name, and you have the Flow with the insurance. All these people. So my point is, the B2B brands as well. Not all of them are doing it, but some are looking for, we want a face, we want a voice, or it's not even someone famous. I'm not, but it's someone who adds credibility to that. Look at him. He's a small business owner. He's been there, done that. He works with us. So that's the kind of thing I think that they're looking to do.
That's terrific. I think a lot of people in our audience are either, on the one end, maybe an individual, a professional who wants to carve out a niche as a subject matter expert or an influencer. And on the other end, there are B2B brands that are possibly looking to break into B2B influencer. So looking at that from both sides, first of all, you've obviously, I think you're kind of living the celebrity CEO.
Yes.
You have the personal brand, writing books, doing keynote speeches, being a host, really putting that face out there. For someone who maybe wants to follow in those footprints to some extent, what has sort of been your path and what are your recommendations for being able to carve out that niche?
Absolutely. A few simple things, but it sounds simpler than it is to do. But for me, it's quite a bit of content. And I don't just say content for content's sake. Why do we do content? So content's important, but we're doing content to educate our audience. Why are we educating our audience? We're educating our audience to build trust. That's what it is. So over the years, as I've done tons and tons of comment and podcast and Instagram and all these things, okay, that Ramon, that same guy is doing it again, saying it again. Ramon and small business are very tied. So my point for those who are just starting off, do your own blog, do your own podcast, do your own every Friday at 8 p.m. have your Zoom call. Yes, your mother's only going to be there first. Don't worry. Keep doing it for the next 6 months, a year. It will grow and be focused on your audience. Once you do that, now you've earned the right to sell them something. Then you've earned that right. And people want to check out the book. It's only $10, $9 is probably Amazon, whatever the price is. Amazon has it, celebrityceo.com. People can check it out and maybe you'll find a free copy somewhere. Who knows? It's not about me selling it, but the knowledge in there is, I'm a firm believer, every smaller business owner and marketer learning the principle of being the celebrity CEO for sure.
Love it. Yeah, check that out for sure. So from the other side, you've worked with brands as an influencer. From your perspective, what are sort of the keys to creating a great partnership, a great engagement with mutual benefit and value that makes you want to continue to work with that brand and be a genuine advocate?
Sure. I think a few things. And there's different ways that brands do different things. But I think one thing, talking to the brand at least, I think, and the influencers, that are you clear on what the goals are, why they want you? That's one. Is it reach and numbers? Could be. For me, it's oftentimes they want safety and security. We want someone who can consistently deliver and give us a good seminar, webinar, host a product, and be excited and draw the expertise out of our subject matter experts. So that's one. I think two, are you living your brand offline and online? Meaning, can they trust that what you tweet, what you post on Instagram is going to be something that's going to make them proud? They don't want to go on somebody, who's thrown up online, or I'm making it up, just doing something stupid, put it that way, off hours. So that's two. Is your brand 360 that's okay for the brand you're working with? So that's two. And I think point three, I think the other thing to consider is that, are you within the wheelhouse of what they want? If you're an influencer for a headphone company and you're not all about music or something, you may not be a fit. So I think those are a few things that I can think about influencers. And also, for me at least, many have told me, Ramon, you're just easy to work with. No drama. So I think those are a few things that I think when we look at how we're working with a brand and how a brand may evaluate us, it's safety, security. We try to do the right thing and be good to work with. And I think that's important, especially depending on how deep it is. And we get back fast too. Listen, hey, Ramon, can we do this? By the time you said can, I've emailed you back.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, everyone's time is important and everyone appreciates quick, timely responsiveness, right, and all that. So as you look ahead sort of to the near future of the small business and technology sector, of influence, of personal brand building, what do you see as kind of the biggest things on the horizon in the frontier here? What are you looking forward to?
I think we're going to be doing a lot more online events. I think that's one. I think we're all going to be, the fight will be for attention even more. We're all zoomed out, but I think it's those who can be as niche, as narrow, as honest, as credible, as authentic to their audience are going to win. Those who are trying to be all things to all people, it's going to be very, very hard. But I think the more narrow you can go and say, we do this and we do this well for these people, you have a chance at winning for sure.
Couldn't agree more. Awesome. So this has been a very brisk conversation. We're pretty much covering everything here, Ramon. If people want to get in touch with you and chat with you or tap your expertise or maybe reach out to have you host an event or something, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. Thank you. I'll give 3 websites. One is RamonRay.com. You can find everything, see my pancakes, whatever you want to see about me. RamonRay.com. You can't see the pancakes, but you'll see my reference.
Are they burnt?
Yes, my man, you know it. And then smarthustle.com. That's where we have all our content to educate small business owners. And every Thursday at 2 p.m., I may have referenced it, I have an email that goes out, really inspiring that people say. And you can see that at ramonemail.com. Just sign up for it. It's free. That's it.
That's great. Check out those websites. Check out the Celebrity CEO book. Reach out to Ramon. Great, very insightful guy. A lot of energy, as you can tell. So if we kind of distill down everything we've been talking about here, the crossover between small business and large business, the emergence of technology and virtual environments, and influencer marketing, what would you kind of boil down to be your top takeaway or insight to help B2B marketers break free here in these times?
Yeah, I think this episode's been all about, one, go niche, go narrow. I think two, don't be afraid, break out a bit. And I think point three, always look for partnerships, how you can work with others to think bigger and think strategically. I think those are three big takeaways, and you'll learn quite a bit as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Ramon Ray. A great conversation, very timely, very, very insightful and relevant. Thank you to everyone for tuning in for Break Free B2B. We'll be back with another episode in the near future, no doubt. And make sure to check out Ramon on LinkedIn, check out his websites, check out his book. Ramon, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom with us today.
Honored to be here, man. Thank you so much for a great interview.
Yes. All right. We'll catch you all next time. Thank you.